Hello, everyone. It's good to speak to you. Uh, my name is Yadul Krishna. I am an economist. So the thing that I'll be conversing you today about is understanding public policy, embracing curiosity to address complex challenges. Now, I'll try not to make this into an academic session, but let me try to put my things in perspective. India is the largest democracy. We live in a country which has just recently overtook China to become the most populous country. Now, with an increasing population and a higher birth rate, it comes, it comes with a caveat. It comes with a caveat of problems. Larger the number of people, the larger we have issues that needs to be solved. So this is where exactly public policy comes into play. Public policy refers to the decisions and actions taken by the government or public authorities to address societal issues and promote the general welfare of the public. Now, we have issues in various sectors, such as unemployment, we have poverty, we have lack of rural infrastructure. We need to give more prioritize to women and child development, and so on. So public policy in this sense is implemented by government through policies which comes at various levels. There is local level, which consists of your panchayat and municipalities. There is region level, which is mostly about the state governments making legislature. There is India, the Parliament of India makes laws for the country, and at the international level, where the United Nations makes or passes resolutions which unfortunately doesn't have most of them doesn't have a binding effect, but yeah, those are also policies. Now, public policy is a dynamic field. It's an ever-changing. Since we are having more issues coming up per day, public policy is expanding in its horizons. So, I'll just give you a notion on why public policy. As I said, public policy is what the government tends to do or abstains to do. So in that sense, as I said, let me just quickly go through some of the objectives and aims of public policy. Number one is problem solving. Problem solving is, we live in an age where poverty is getting on the rise. We live in an age where climate change is being addressed as a critical factor right now. And again, various other issues, needs, problems, needs to be addressed more effectively and efficiently. So this is where public policy plays a role. Second is regulation and governance. Regulation, in the sense, various sectors needs to be regulated by the government. They need to be given guidance on how they should be working. For example, the Reserve Bank of India working on our country's monetary policy. The FSSAI putting in standards for food and safety. We have the SEBI working on capital markets. We have IRDA working on insurance. Competition Commission of India working on healthier competition between the corporate sector. And there is also a need for resource allocation. Now, we are all taxpayers. Most of us are taxpayers. And the government uses these tax amount to allocate resources to the general public. Now, resources are scarce, it's limited, and the needs that we have is always unlimited. So the government needs to prioritize which all sectors needs to be given more importance, and which all sectors needs to be given lesser importance. Say health, education, upliftment of the marginalized communities are all critical and imperative issues that need to be addressed importantly, prioritized. Now, other issues, social justice. As I said, we have a large section of marginalized societies in this world, marginalized communities in this world, and they need to be uplifted, and they need to be given equitable justice. Then again, there are other issues like economic development, public welfare, public health and safety, environmental sustainability, international relations, foreign policy, and so on and so forth. So my next question is, should you have an economics, law, or a political science background to get into public policy? Well, the answer is no. Public policy it affects every walks of life. It's a multifaceted instrument which needs people from diverse thoughts, experiences, and backgrounds. Say if you are from any field, if you're from the sciences of the arts or commerce field, public policy has a place for every one of you. Now I remember when I was doing a course in public policy from a think tank in New Delhi. I came across a friend who had his graduation done in engineering. And I remember asking him, "You did your not engineering, sorry, architecture." So I just asked him, "You're an architect, and why are you interested in public policy?" See, he told me that I have an interest in architecture, but I'm more into the research side of architecture. And he told me he wanted to pursue a course in urban planning. I come from a state. I study in a state, Delhi, where right now, due to the heavy rainfalls, the roads are all flooded. I don't know if I should blame the government for not the people for not getting a proper sewage over there, but that is also a problem. Now, let me give you an example of an efficient public policy that I have just came across. It's the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, guarantee scheme. Now, we all know what the Manrega is. It's giving guaranteed employment to the people in the rural areas so that they can have a livelihood of their own by giving guaranteed wages, guaranteed employment. The Manrega scheme worked tremendously during the COVID outbreak. It gave people the required amount of money so that even during lockdown and even when they were not having any other income, it gave them a stability to have a proper living. So let me just give you an example of a bill that I drafted for the Parliament. It's called the Bhagat Singh National Urban Employment Guarantee Bill 2022. It got successfully introduced in the Parliament in the monsoon session 2022 last year. Now, the context of my bill was, I remember, like we all remember seeing people migrating to their villages during the COVID outbreak because there were no jobs in the urban area. So this shows that there is a large number of people who are outcasted from the formal sector. They are informal in their nature of work. So that tells us that there is a high urban unemployment rate persisting in our country. So this was the purpose, this was the context of the bill. And I drafted the bill. The bill's initial idea was to guarantee at least a limited number of employment to people so that they can work even if there is high unemployment. So I categorize this bill into skilled, unskilled, and semi-skilled workers so that we can categorize them and give them training and make them to a pool of recognized employers so that they through this pool and training can further generate large number of employment opportunities. Now, going to example of coming to innovating public policy. Public policy is something that is very critical at this moment. We need better policy outcomes. So curiosity is one important factor that we need to think when we aim to create better public policy, because this is it's only curiosity in these current times when we have issues that needs larger scope of problem solving addressing. We need inquiry, critical thinking, and learning to ask the right questions and to challenge the status quo. So in this present times, with the elevation of technology, the artificial intelligence and machine learning, the policymakers are able to get more data, and as for policymakers, we are desperate for more data to make policy decisions. Now, in India, public policy is an emerging field. We have grown from just the government sector to have more players playing in the arena of public policy. There are NGOs, there are community organizations, there are private players, there's academia who's generating new ideas and developing innovative solutions. Now, I come from the state of Kerala, which had a success story in taming the COVID curve during the lockdown. Now, the efforts of Kerala was recognized globally. I remember the Kerala's then Health Minister K.K. Shailaja receiving an award from the United Nations, recognized by the United Nations for her taming of the COVID curve. Now, why did Kerala have such a success story? It is not just the work of the government alone, but because it had a conscious society which knew that they need to have more resources and more manpower for things to get implemented better. So these are the factors I've just pointed out. The state made a Sannadha Sena, a volunteer of workers, to implement the policies of the government. Kerala had active organizations such as the youth commissions and other youth organizations such as the NCC and NSS were put to efficient use during the lockdown. We had opened a community kitchen. Community kitchen is a kitchen where during the lockdown all the stores were closed. So knowing that people will be starving during the lockdown, the community kitchens were opened following the COVID protocols, and they started giving people meals at a price as low as 20 rupees a day. Now, other factor is the role of Kudumbasri. Kudumbasri is a 3-tier self-help women's group in Kerala. It's spread across Kerala so that women are members of the organization. So the government gave them loans to these women in Kudumbasri throughout the state. These loans were used by them to run their households properly, so that they don't starve without the need of without any lack of food. So then there is active political and cultural organizations that made sure that their neighbors or people in their local community were well fed, were not having any health issues, and was all good during the lockdown. Then Kerala, one of the fascinating things that I love about Kerala is that it has a robust public sector. Public sector has played a significant role in addressing the issues during the lockdown. Now, other than the robust public healthcare, Kerala government had made some changes, such as it used the Kerala Drugs and Pharmaceuticals Limited. It's a public sector undertaking to make sanitizers, and they were capped at an MRP price, knowing that sanitizers can see a huge surge in price. And it also, I remember seeing a news clip of the Social Justice Department in Kerala using prisoners to make masks so that the state doesn't run out of masks. Now, all these fundings and all these issues has caused the government a large fiscal deficit in the coming years, because before Corona, we had the Nipah virus and 2 floods flooding in. So now, as I said, I started off in the corporate sector and then eventually moved pursuing law at the Faculty of Law, Delhi University, and now work in the Parliament. Public policy is a booming career. It's a career where your work can affect the millions of lives. So there are various avenues where you can work in public policy, from research institutions to academia to think tanks to government and even politics. I know people do still have a stigma towards joining politics, but when politics determines your education and the way you live, you need to determine what your politics should be. And even if you are not able to do even that, I'll, I'll request you to at least exercise thoughtfully your right to vote and vote to make an informed choice. Now, India, as I said, is booming, and we need more informed policies. So, India is not just about the military strength or the economic position in the world. It's about how the people live in a country peacefully so that they can celebrate the life they want. And that's where public policy comes into a role. And that's all. Thank you. Thank you so much.